Hello, my name is MooingCat and welcome to my event strategies guide for the 2023 anniversary event. In this video, I will first quickly go through the rewards you can get in this event, and then I will talk all about strategies, how to get the most out of the event. Now, this video assumes you do have an understanding of how the event works, how the minigame works, and so on. So if you don't know already, I recommend checking out my minigame tutorial, which you can find linked in the description, or you can read through the written guide as well if you want. So, with that out of the way, and before I begin, if you find this helpful, feel free to share it with your friends and guildmates, and as always, please leave a like and a comment if it helped you out. Alright, let's get started by quickly looking at the event rewards you can get this event. The main building is the Tower of Conjunction. It is 3x7, it has 11 levels with 4 variations at the final level, and interestingly, it does not require any roads, which, well, it seems a little bit weird to me, but no, it doesn't require any roads. So there's that. So the building has 11 levels, as I mentioned, but sadly the final level does require a special golden upgrade kit, as was first introduced in the St. Patrick's Day event, and as we'll also see in the upcoming events. So sadly that seems to be a standard feature now. But luckily, as I will go over in this video, it is possible to get the Tower of Conjunction fully leveled to level 11. Alright, let's quickly go through the stats of this building. First of all, the level 10 building. It, as I mentioned, 3x7, does not require any roads. It gives some medals and supplies. It does not give population or happiness, or not even coins, so that's interesting. It gives between 9 and 11 forge points, which is a decent amount. That makes it well, almost or slightly above 0.5 forge points per tile, depending on your age, so that's all right. It gives between 20 and 22 goods, and I don't really understand why these are ranges, but they are, and they do depend on age. But as you can see, very short ranges between lowest age and highest age, so I don't know why they did that. It also gives between 12 and 22% attack boost for attacking army, depending on your age, which is up to 1.05 attack per tile in space, age, Jupiter, moon. So the level 10 building, it's alright, but nothing amazing. Plenty of other buildings beat it, so yeah, if you get it at level 10, depending on how much space you have, you can place it, but you definitely do want to get it to level 11. So, level 11, you have 4 variations. Let's go through them. The first one is the Royal Tower of Conjunction. It has some additional medals and supplies, more than the base. It has the base number of forge points, base number of current era goods. It also gives between 27 and 29 previous era goods, as well as 25 guild goods. It gives a 1-up kit fragment, you need 30 of those. It has the base attack boost from the level 10 building, and it also gives between 40 and 42% supply boost. So personally, not really that interesting to me, but you do get some extra goods and supply boost if that is something that you are interested in. The next one is the Cardinal Tower of Conjunction. This one gives some coins in addition to the medals and supplies. It has more forge points than the base one. It gives between 14 and 16 forge points, which is really good for the size of the building, especially considering you don't need a road. It gives between, or the base number of goods. It gives 1 renovation kit fragment. 30 of those are required. It gives the base attack boost, and it also gives some coins boost between 34 and 36%. So, quite a decent building, quite nice, quite good forge point production. So if that's something you are after, you can definitely go for this. I think most, though, will probably go for the Phantom Tower of Conjunction. This one gives the base, medals, forge points, goods, supplies, and so on, but it has some increased boosts. It gives between 25 and 35% attack boost for attacking army, between 18 and 28% defense boost for attacking army, and it also has attack and defense for city defense, which might come in handy now that Guild Expedition level 5 requires city defense. In terms of attack per tile, that is a combined attack per tile of 3 in Space Age Jupiter Moon, which is really good. For comparison, the Mountain Reserve, House of the Wolf, Heroes Tavern, and so on, all of those are around a combined 2.2 attack per tile. So this one at 3, it's considerably better, especially that considering you don't need a road. And it also gives some very nice city defense, and now that actually has some use. So this really good building, definitely my top recommendation for the level 11. Then finally, we have the Scholar Tower of Conjunction. This one has the base metals and supplies. This one has population and happiness, if you are interested in that. It has the base number of forge points and goods, as well as the base attack, but it gives an additional 4 blueprints and 4 units. So I personally do not need this, but I think I can see a couple of people have use for this. Get some nice population, as well as some units. Blueprints might come in handy as well if you are a developing player. So I can see some uses for this, although again, my main recommendation is to go for the Phantom Tower of Conjunction. All right, so that's the main building. How can you get it? Well, you get it the usual ways. You get 3 levels from Milestones. You get the level 1 building and 2 upgrade kits, which means you need 7 regular upgrade kits from Grand Prizes, and finally the golden upgrade kit as well from Grand Prizes. So in order to get the main building fully leveled, you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as well as 8 the Tower of Conjunction golden upgrade kit. So you need to land here at 3,750 progress. So that is the target that we will be aiming for in this video, and that will come in, remember that for earlier. So as usual, you have first a couple of unique grand prizes, but then they start looping, and this time they loop between 2,250 progress and 6,750 progress. All right. So let's move on. We also have one additional new building, the Key Masters Workshop. Sadly, this is a cash-only building. You can, you can get 1 selection kit from leagues, but you do need 4 levels of this to be useful. So practically speaking, it is only available from the event pass. So yeah, that's a shame. Let's quickly go through it regardless. So it requires population and happiness, actually. It has a negative of both of those, which is interesting. It produces between 6 and 8 forge points, which is a lot considering it is a 3x2 building. It does require a road, so that is 7 tiles, so above 1 forge point per tile in the highest ages. It gives between 18 and 20 goods. It gives between 9 and 11 attack for attacking army, which is also really good, up to 1.57, which is better than Winner's Plaza, for example. It has some defense for city defense, but perhaps most importantly, or the best production, is that it gives 2 Tower of Conjunction selection kit fragments. And in this selection kit, you do have the golden upgrade as well. So if you buy the event pass, you should be able to get 2 of these fully leveled with the free currency, which means that you and you need 100 fragments to get. Sorry, I was distracted by my phone. You need 100 fragments for each Tower of Conjunction selection kit. So if you have 2 of these, it means you will get 1 selection kit every 25 days. You need 11 of those, so you will get 1 full Tower of Conjunction every 275 days if you get 2 of these to level 4. But yeah, as I mentioned, you do need the event pass for it, and I don't really feel like talking too much about it, as long as it is money only. So if you want to read more, you can check out the fandom wiki. Alright, let's talk a little bit about daily specials, and we do have a lot of good daily specials this event, and I only have included a few here, but there are a lot more as well that usually are considered quite good. So check out the full list again on the fandom wiki. You can find the link here in the written guide. I'll add a link in the description as well. The main rewards are probably these two, at least for fighters. You have the Harvest Farm selection kit, so the fall set is available as a daily special, and the Mountain Reserve selection kit is also available. Both of these are really good for attack boosts, especially the Harvest Farm is good for all ages for attack boost. So that would be my top pick probably, if you are in lower ages. If you want the most attack. If you want combined attack and defense, the Mountain Reserve is definitely also a really good option. It gives more combined attack per tile than the Harvest Farm, although Harvest Farm gives more attack per tile and also more combined in lower ages. So if you're in higher ages and want combined, you should probably go for the Mountain Reserve. If not, you should go for the Harvest Farm if you're looking for attack. The Governor's Villa, that's also an interesting option. In terms of attack, it is definitely worse than these two. However, in the upcoming Pirate event or Summer event, which is not the next event, but probably the event after that. Right now in beta, we have the Wildlife event, but after that, so in a couple of months, we have a golden upgrade kit for the Governor's Villa. So the Governor's Villa will get an additional level in the summer event this year. So it might actually be quite good, and it might be worth stocking up on some selection kits for it. Now, we don't know anything about the stats, or if you're able to get this golden upgrade kit without spending money, so we don't know, but something to keep in mind. Anyways, the Horror Circus is actually available, which is quite a surprise. But it does have some very good Forge Point designs, Forge Point layout. So I have a video on that if you want to check it out. So that could be an interesting choice, probably my top pick for Forge Points. Another good or situationally good option is the Vineyard Estate. So the chain buildings here, they give a lot of Forge Points attack or defense for attacking army, or goods as well, I believe. So especially if you are in a low age and want a lot of stats quickly, this could be an interesting option. Personally, I'm not sure if I would go for it, but actually no, if I'm staying in a low age, it's definitely a good option. I probably would go for the Harvest Farm still if you want to attack, but for Forge Points, it's definitely a good option. And also two other situational items, the Knight's Pavilion. It's a 2x2 building that produces some units, so that's always nice. And you have the Sleigh Builder, a nice building to produce some goods and to use for current age productions in events. So yeah, a lot of interesting options. And again, as I mentioned, you do have more options in the fandom wiki. So check that out if you are interested. Finally, we do have a league system this event, and the league system is based on how much progress you get towards the grand prizes. Now here I have a screenshot from beta, but these values here, we can completely disregard those. The balancing was all over the place on beta. First the event was very generous, then it was very poor, then it was kind of in the middle again. So ignore the numbers here. But yeah, basically I think most people, or I think the highest you will get if you don't spend money is bronze. So you probably will not get the selection kit here for the main building, which you get if you land in silver or gold. So yeah, we can't rely on that, which means that, as I mentioned above, we need 7 upgrades and the golden upgrades from the grand prizes. Alright, finally, we do have some quest cheat list here, where I write down the blocker quest, so you can check that out if you are interested. Event mechanics, I go over that or all of that in my other video. So I think without further ado, let's move on to event strategies. All right, again, a reminder, the target we are looking at or aiming at is 3,000 let me start over. 3,750 progress. So that's what you need to get the golden upgrade kit for the Tower of Conjunction. All right, so how should you spend your energy? How much should you spend per board? Should you clear the board? Let's talk all about that. So as I went over in my tutorial video, there are two ways of resetting the board. You can either clear out all the locked tiles, locked gems, or you can reset spending some energy. So that's what I've kind of been testing on beta. I have been testing 4 different strategies, or kind of 2 different strategies with 3 variations of the other, but 4 different strategies. One strategy I've been testing is clearing out boards, clearing out all the locked gems. Yeah, that you basically just play the game until, and buy gems until you have unlocked all the locked gems. So that's quite simple. The other way of playing is to use the energy to reset board, but because the cost of resetting increases every time you reset, and because this resets every midnight, if you go for strategies where you reset the board manually, you should play every day in order to have the lowest cost of resetting the board. So the other couple of strategies assume that you play every day. And that might seem a little bit, I don't know, daunting, but it truly is the best way, as I will explain. So when playing every day, you do have to keep in mind how much you spend. So basically what I've done is that I have divided the amount of energy you have by the number of days available, which means you have around 500 energy per day from the free currency. You should get a decent amount from incidents as well. So my rough estimate is between 500 and 550 energy per day. So that's a good estimate in my opinion. So based on that, I have tested 3 different strategies on beta. The first strategy is to play 4 games every day, and each board or each game I spend 100 energy to buy 10 gems, which might sound quite not a lot, but yeah, you can get quite a lot from those 10 gems. So this will cost 400 energy per day on boards, plus 140 to reset the boards every day, for a total of 540 energy per day. That is 11,340 energy in total, which is 800 from incidents, so that might not be, you might not get that much. But if you don't get that much, you can still go for this strategy, and then simply on the final day or final couple of days, you don't spend as much. So don't worry too much if you can't get all this energy. It doesn't really matter too much. You can just take it easier the final couple of days. So that's the first strategy that I tested. The other strategy I tested was spending 120 energy per day, or energy per board. Now, naturally, that means that I can't buy 4 or play 4 boards every day. So with 120 energy per board, I alternated between 4 boards per day and 3 boards per day. So one day I played 4 boards, spending 120 energy per board. The next day I played 3 boards, spending 120 energy per board. And including the reset costs, alternating those, that brings it up to a total of 525 energy per day, which is just above 11,000 energy. The final strategy I tested was playing 3 boards per day, spending 160 energy each. That means the reset cost is lower, and in total it is actually the same cost or same amount of energy per day as the strategy where you play 4 boards every day with 100 energy. So yeah, that's the 3 different strategies I tested, as well as the strategy to clear out boards. And when I cleared out boards, I had to spend an average of 375 energy per board, so considerably more. All right, let's combine all of those, all my results into this table here. So first of all, I have the different strategies, and going forward, I will be referring to these as 4 times 100, 3.5 times 120, which is the alternating one, and 3 times 160. And just know that what I mean by this is spending or playing this many games per day, spending the given amount of energy. All right, the sample size is how many games I tested with this on beta. The total boards here is how many boards you play using this strategy. So 4 games, 21 days, that is 84 games or boards in total. Here we have progress per energy and energy per key, which might be interesting, but I've also used these to generate to calculate the estimated total progress and total keys you're able to get from the minigame with each of these strategies. And these calculations here, total progress and total keys, they assume 1100 energy in total. So that is just below 500 energy from incidents, which is definitely possible to get. So with those assumptions, we see that the 4 times 100 energy strategy will get around 4,250 progress and just below 1,500 keys. The 3.5 times 120 energy strategy is slightly lower on both of these, which is interesting. You get fewer progress, not by a lot, but slightly less, and also slightly less keys. And for the strategy where you spend 160 energy 3 times per day, again, slightly lower, 4,040 roughly, and 1,450 total keys. So with these 3 different strategies, there's not a lot of difference. They're actually surprisingly close, at least in my opinion, but it does seem like the 4 games per day edges out slightly, which might seem a little bit surprising, because especially for me, I would think that the keys, or at least in my mind, I would think that the more games you do with a lower amount of energy, the more progress you would get, but you would also get lower keys. That would be my assumption. But based on my testing at least, it seems like you get more keys as well if you play more games with fewer energy. And the reason, or my reason why I would think that is that when you buy more gems per board, you will have more gems to merge with, and it'll be easier to get more keys. And you do get more keys per board, but in total, based on my testing at least, you do get slightly more keys if you play 4 times 100 boards per day. So yeah, I guess that would be my recommendation. Because if we move down to the strategy where I clear the boards, well, here we can see that the total estimated progress and keys drops down considerably. The amount of progress, 2,500, which is way below what you need, and total keys, well, it's definitely nowhere close to the other strategies. So based on this, my recommendation is to play 4 games every day and spend 100 energy per board. Again, as I mentioned, there's not a lot of difference between these, so by all means, if you want to, you can do 3 games, 3 boards per day, 160 energy. You're still very close here, not that big of a difference. So if you're more comfortable with that, by all means do that. But at least based on my testing, 4 games per day with 100 energy seems to be the best strategy. Now again, as I mentioned, you do have to play, or the strategy is based around playing every day, but if you miss out on some days, it's not the end of the world. As you can see, you do have quite a decent buffer here. You only need 3,750, as I mentioned. So here we have almost 500 extra additional progress that you don't need. So if you miss out on a couple of days, it's not that big of a deal. But you do need to adjust then moving forward if you do miss out on a day. So how do you adjust your strategy? Well, it's quite simple. I do have an example here, so let's just run through that. So say that you are doing the 4 times 100 strategy and that you missed out on 2 days in the beginning. That means that you missed out on 540 energy 2 days that you didn't spend. So now you have 1,080 additional energy that you need to spread out across the remaining days of the event. So if you have, for example, 18 remaining days, that means you need to spend 60 additional energy per day. And that's very simple to do. Either you add an additional 10 or 20 energy here and there each game, or perhaps one of the games you play on each day going forward, you buy 160 or 16 gems instead of 10. It's very easy to distribute these. If, for example, you had 9 days remaining, then you would have to add an additional 120 energy per day, which would be 30 additional gems energy, 30 additional energy per game. So it's very simple to adjust if you miss out. And in the end, I don't think you will miss out on too much progress if you miss out on a couple of days. So don't sweat it. It's not that big of a deal. But ideally, you do want to play every day. Now, I mentioned that this is the total progress with this strategy. That's true, but there are additional ways to get progress that are not included here. So let's talk about when you should open chests. As I mentioned in my tutorial video, the first chest you open on a given day gives twice the rewards, and that includes twice the progress towards the grand prizes. So that means that from the opening chests, you are able to get up to 567 additional progress. Now you also are able to get 9 keys every day from from daily challenges. So if you pick up all of those, that is also an additional 250 energy. So in total, if you include both of those, you might actually be looking at 5,000 progress there. So definitely a lot to spare. And now, because of this, or because you do have a lot to spare already, if you do follow the strategy, play every day, then, well, you don't actually need to open the first chest every day. And the reason why you don't want to is that if you do, you have to spend around 1/3 of the free keys you're able to pick up on opening these chests. So that means that you only have around 2/3 of the keys for the daily specials that you actually want. That is quite a lot of keys that you don't spend on what you want. So if you don't need those additional progress, I would rather save those keys and spend all the keys on the days with the daily special that you actually want. So my recommendation is that if you follow any of these strategies here and you play every day, then you don't actually have to pick up those additional progress. Now, if, for example, you know that you miss out on, say, a week here in the beginning of the event, for example, then you're probably going to miss out on a decent amount of progress here. So if you do that, then it might be beneficial to actually pick up those just to be safe, or pick up some of these to be safe. So yeah, I guess it depends, but if you are able to follow a strategy more or less accurately, even if you miss a couple of days, it should be fine, then you don't need to open these. But if you either want to play it safe, or you know that you will be missing out on a couple of days, for example, then I would pick up some, if not all, of the additional points you can get by opening the first chest every day. So yeah, I guess that's my spiel on opening chests. Let me see. So in other words, can you get the Tower of Conjunction fully leveled for free? Absolutely. It seems to be fairly simple to do if you follow a good strategy. If you try to clear every board, or for example, if you spend everything on the final day of the event, then you would have to clear board in order to reset the boards, because the cost would get too high really quickly. So if you do that, if you wait all the way until the end of the event, then you will not get enough progress, and you will not be able to get the Tower of Conjunction fully leveled for free. So just know, it's definitely possible to get it, but you do need to play with a strategy in mind. All right, let's talk a little bit about how many daily specials you can expect. So based on these tables here, you can probably, or my estimation is between 1,400 and 1,600 keys. As I mentioned, you can get some additional keys every day from daily challenges. So if we include those as well, we can go up to around 1,600 keys. Now, the daily special rate per key is between 1.33 and 1.67%, depending on which chest you open. Now, as I mentioned in my other guide, in my minigame guide, you want to balance out the number of keys you spend or the key colors when you buy chests. So you can't really control too much which chest you open. But based on a test I did on beta, where I balanced out the keys, I opened quite a lot of the most expensive chest, and then the other chests were distributed roughly equal. Anyways, based on that test, my average, or my weighted average, was around 1.44% daily special chance per key. So using these three different numbers here, we can see that if I'm able to get 1.33% per key, I would get 18.5 daily specials with 1400 keys. And then with the what I think is probably quite a realistic estimate of around 1.45 perhaps chance per key, that would be around 20 daily specials on average. And yeah, if we go all the way up to 1.67, that means only opening the lowest chests, which you can't really do. That's not really realistic. But yeah, then you could get perhaps up to 23. But I think, realistically speaking, as I mentioned in my last video, you do have to balance out the keys you spend. So realistically speaking, I think around 1.45% chance per key on average, which means that if you have 1400 keys, that is around 20 daily specials. With 1600, that is around 23 daily specials. So my estimate is somewhere around here, between 20 and 23 daily specials on average. But as always, this will be different from player to player. If you're lucky, you will probably get a lot more. But if you're unlucky, you can get less and so on. But yeah, around 20-23 daily specials is my estimate. Let me round off talking a little bit about diamond spending. I'm not going to talk too much about it because the diamond costs are really high in this event. So just to get it out of the way, my estimate for a second Tower of Conjunction without Event Pass is around 32 to 35,000 diamonds. And my estimate of diamonds per daily special is around 1938 diamonds, almost 2,000 diamonds per daily special. So both of these values are quite bad, and because of that, and also because the wildlife event is really good for spending diamonds, my recommendation is not to spend diamonds on this event. Save those diamonds for a future event instead. Now, if you do want to get a second Tower of Conjunction, let me just quickly talk through my recommendation. My recommendation, if you want a second Tower of Conjunction, is to play 5 boards every day, spending 170 energy per board for 17 gems. So doing that, you will spend a total of 24,150 energy, which you can get, well, if you buy 16 of the highest energy pack, then you need 470 energy from incidents, which I think is quite realistic to aim for. So that's my recommendation. Here I go through some math on how that is enough and why that is enough. And oh, by the way, what you're aiming for, if you want a second Tower of Conjunction, is 8,000 energy. Because if I go back up to the grand prices here, when you move, okay, so after you get the golden tower upgrade kit here, you already have the level 1 building. So here you have level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So at this point, you need another upgrade kit as well, a golden upgrade kit as well, to get it to the final level. However, if you get to 8,000 here, I think you are very likely to at least, I would guarantee that you are at least in silver, probably in gold as well, which means that you will get the selection kit here for that final golden upgrade kit. So what you need for a second building is 8,000 progress. You don't actually need to get all the way to 8,500 to get the golden upgrade kit from grand prizes. You can get that from the selection kit in the leagues. So that's how to get diamonds, I suppose, or how to get a second building. Now, if you want more than 2 Tower of Conjunctions, then you need to start clearing out boards instead of resetting. Because after the 5th board, the reset cost is 320. That's not worth it. At this point, you're better off just keep on buying gems until you have reset or unlocked all the locked gems on the board. I don't have any estimate for how much that will cost. It'll cost a lot of diamonds. I don't think it is worth it, but if you want to, you can do the calculations yourself, I suppose. I will not spend more time on that. All right, and that's it for the strategies guide. Hopefully you found this interesting. Again, my recommendation is to play 4 boards per day and buy 10 gems every board for 100 energy. Again, if you want to check out my other video, you can do that. It'll be linked in the description. In that video, I mentioned, or I talked about this Minigame Solver, which you might find interesting. It will help you find a suggested way to merge all the gems of a given color based on your inputs here. I'll go over that in that video, so check that out if you are interested. Alright, I think that's all for this video, but before I end, let me thank my Patreons for their support. I would like to thank Comstar, Lorden, Rockinobin, Kim Cayley, Rolf the 8th, PQ the Goat, Dan Simonette, Shanti, Merrick B, Hugo Count von Count, Drew the Generous, Susan Weiss, Rocco, Version Emrys, Spike from No Remorse, Flavius the Avenger, Ashborn, Alexander Kleber, Mattia, Opshi the Obsessed, Ref, Otaril, Mike, Wolfby, Atomic, Ruth, Flavius Belisarius, Karen, and Dennis. Thanks a lot for watching, take care, and good luck in the event.